Ladies and gentlemen, g'day. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be talking, well, I'm going to be telling you a story essentially about update 5.5 and why it was such a massive impact in World of Tanks Blitz and why people like myself still resent it to this day. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Economics Mate and you're watching a World of Tanks Blitz video. And 5.5 was one of the worst updates ever to be released in World of Tanks Blitz. And I'm about to tell you why. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this story. Well, I mean, not really enjoy it, to be honest with you. It's quite frustrating, especially for us veteran players. But, yeah. You may notice there are some tanks that you're looking at right now on the bottom of the screen that you may not recognize if you haven't been playing this game for more than 5 years. And that's because these tanks were removed from the game. They were actually removed from the tech trees and made into collector tanks. So update 5.5 came around and basically removed everything that we know and love. I'll give you a perfect example. This right here is the VK30.01H. This is a tier 5 German heavy tank. In fact, this heavy tank was the one that you would be able to get if you were to try and grind up the VK36.01H line. So before the Panzer IV was the main sort of tier 5 tank, that and the Stug, you were able to research the VK30.01H to get to the VK36.01H. And we also had a tank called the DW2. Yeah, that's right. We had a tank called the DW2. I'm trying to find out whether or not I actually have it on this one. Let's have a look. I don't think I've got it here, but let's have a look. See there? M3 Light again. Don't know if I've got it. Here we go. The DW2. There it is. The DW2. Ladies and gentlemen, this tank is... well, there's no other word to say it. The DW2 was a great tank. I am actually going to restore it right now because, well, I missed that tank. I'll be honest with you, I do miss that tank. The DW2 was basically the heavy tank, the German heavy tank, the T4 German heavy tank that came before the VK30.01H. So we had this, and then we had the VK36. So essentially, Wargaming allowed you to play two different heavy tanks in the German tech tree line for tier 4 and 5 and allowed you to actually understand how to play a heavy tank. So why is it that they removed these two tanks and actually removed a bunch of other tier 2s, tier 3s, tier 4s, tier 5s and tier 6 tanks and even one tier 7 tank called the KB13? You're going to see a video on this, or maybe you've already seen this video. Maybe you've already seen the KB13 video, maybe you haven't. I don't know. I can't remember. I honestly don't know when this is uploading. But when it uploads, if this uploads first, you'll see a KB13 video come out soon. And if the KB13 video came out, then you'll be able to see this after. Regardless, my point is, there was a tank called the KB13. What I don't understand is, why? Why did Wargaming think it was a good idea to remove all these tech trees? All these tech tree tanks. I mean, look at the tech trees, right? So this is the regular tech tree, right? This is the regular tech tree. You can see there's plenty of tanks to choose from. T7, Tier 8, Tier 9, Tier 10. But then you look here, and there's one Tier 1 tank, there's one Tier 2 tank, and there's one Tier 3 tank. And at Tier 4, there's only two, a Panzer 4D and a Hetzer. Doesn't that strike you as odd why there isn't any other tanks? And by the way, the Panzer II was a Tier 2 tank. It was not a Tier 1. You know what we had at Tier 1? The Like Tractor. We actually had post-World War I tanks as Tier 1 tanks, right? The Like Tractor, we had the MS-1, right? The T1. These were tanks that you played when you first started the game. And then they reintroduced these tanks as... They reintroduced basically the Tier 2 tanks as the Tier 1 tanks. Look at the Russian tank line. There's only 3. There used to be more than this. There used to be an Su-76 before the Su-85. There legitimately was an Su-76 before the Su-85. Why was that? No idea. It's crazy. It really is crazy to me that Wargaming removed so many tanks. Again, the T7, the T6 tank, the T150. There was a tank called the T150. Do you know what that tank is? No. A lot of people don't know what the T150 is because, well, surprise, surprise, Wargaming removed it. Why? Don't ask me why. But they removed it. It was essentially it was basically a KV3 at T6. That's what it was. It was a very strong tank, and they removed it. Hey, let's have a look at the British one, right? The British. Look, they had the Cruiser 2, the Cruiser 3, and the Cruiser 4. Cool. Do you know what else they also had? They had the Covenanter, what do you call it? They had the Crusader, the Covenanter. They had a bunch of other tanks, right? The Matilda was one of them, and the Matilda is still there. It's considered a heavy tank now. Back then, it was considered a medium tank. Yeah, I know. The British didn't suffer that much. Not as much as the Germans did. The Germans had way more tanks that they got rid of. This is another example. The American tank tree line. M2 Light, M3 Stuart, M5 Stuart. You know there was a T40? There was a T40. There was a T40 at T4 for the American line. It's crazy to think that the Americans once had so many tank lines at lower tiers. They had also something called the T18, which was one of the most broken T2 tanks in the game. You had basically basically like a 75mm howitzer at tier 2. You could basically one-shot so many tanks. It was crazy. Then we had the T82 at T3, which I'm in the process of buying back, but Wargaming freaking charged me double for everything, even though I sold these tanks years ago. Here's another one, the Panzer 2G. This was also a tech tree tank, by the way. This was a tier 3 tech tree tank. This was pretty amazing back in the day. And even to this day, this tank is pretty damn amazing. It's fast, it's agile, it's got decent armor, it's got a very nice gun, it's got good pen. Everything has got going for it. I mean, these were fun tanks to play. Look at this. This is a Panzer 4 at tier 3. It's a Panzer 4A. It's got a short-barreled 75mm gun. It's basically a Panzer 4D at tier 3. Crazy to think that this was in the game. This thing, the Marder 2, this was a tier 3 tank destroyer, a German tier 3 tank destroyer with a 75mm gun. This is a long-barreled 75mm gun. Look at the pen. Look at the pen on this thing. They actually nerfed the penetration on this tank, by the way. It used to be more. It used to be over 100 mils of AP pen and over like 170 or 180 mils of APCR. It was ridiculous. This tank was amazing. And it had HE. This tank had HE. This tank had high explosive. Can you imagine that? It had high explosive. It was pretty crazy. This was amazing. This tank I loved playing. It had no armor. It had no armor whatsoever. But you stick this thing at the back of the map and it just decimated everything. This is the T18 I was talking about. They actually removed the howitzer gun. It's now no longer got a howitzer. It's got a gun that does 60 hit points of damage. It used to do, and I'm not joking, over 100 hit points of damage. Nearly 200 damage it was doing with HE. It was stupid broken. That's the T18. We had this one, the Panzerjäger 1. This thing, look at the penetration on this tank. You ready? It's got 67 mils of penetration. This tank had AP, it had APCR, and it had HE. It had 3 different shells, and it had more penetration than this thing. It's pretty crazy to think this was a tier 2 tank destroyer that had pretty damn good penetration values. This was the MS1. This used to be a tier 1 tank. A tier 1, and then they removed it, and then for some reason brought it back as a tier 2. I reckon they should bring back all the other tier 1 tanks that they removed and bring them back as tier 2s. And then we have this, the AT1. This was also pretty broken. This I believe had a 75mm gun as well. Yeah, it was pretty crazy as well. The T18 was more crazier, but You get my drift. And then you got this thing. This is a Panzer III-4. When is the last time you saw one of these on the battlefield? Never. The Hetzer had a 105mm howitzer, which at tier 4 against tier 3 tanks was absolutely redonkulous. You were literally one-shotting everything and basically removing most of the hit points of tier 4 tanks. It was crazy. This is basically a Panzer IV, just another variation of it. It's quite a rare tank, and I actually have this tank. The UE-57. This thing has, look at the DPM on this thing. You ready? 1,126 DPM. It's got 105mm of AP pen and 170 mils on APCR, and it's a tier 3 tank. And it's got the best concealment of any tank in the game. It is insane. These were the types of tanks that we played back in the day. These were the types of tanks that we played, and we enjoyed. Even us older veteran players, where we had T10s, we went back to tier 5, tier 6, tier 4, tier 3 to have some fun games in them, to seal club. Yes, seal clubbing is sort of frowned down upon, but good luck these days trying to get into a battle. Good luck. And then, of course, how can we forget about this, the Keniotsu? This thing, this thing was ridiculous back in the day. 1900 hit points and 1900 damage per minute was stupid broken. It had double the amount of damage per minute than any other tier 3 tank in the game. It was stupid broken. What can I say? Lower tiers were so much fun, and Wargaming went ahead and basically removed everything that was fun about the game. The lower tiers was so much fun. You had so much variety. There's so many tanks here that I don't have, that I want to buy back. I want to buy back all the tanks that I sold, all the low tier tanks. There's still so many that I don't have that I wanted to get. They removed all of them. It's just insane to think about it. It really is crazy to think about it, right? Look here, I'll show you something else here. You ready? Date of sale. Look at this. Yeah, M3 Light, right? That's another one. M3 Light. That was a premium tank. Yeah. Let's have a look. It was a premium tank. Yeah, actually, let's do it by tier. Tetrak. Again, Tetrak. Tetrak. This was pretty good. M3 Light. The T15. Another one. The Locust. The AMX-40. This was also a tank that you could get. The Panzer 38 NA. Again, this is another tank. It was a what do you call it? A German tank that you could buy. You could research. The T40. Here it is, the T40 I was talking about. That's the T40. T40. It's a T4 American tank destroyer. The Panzer B2. Again, this is something that was removed, right? And that's very rarely given out. My point I'm trying to make is Wargaming. Bring back lower tiers. Bring back lower tiers. For God's sake, please bring us back. Give us the lower tiers back again. It was so much fun to play lower tiers. Now, good luck trying to get into a battle. It takes forever. It really does. Anyway, that is the story of Update 5.5. Oh, and by the way, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. They sold Update 5.5 as being this incredible new thing where, hey guys, we're going to change these tanks into collector tanks. Do you want to make over 20,000 gold for free? Just buy these tanks with credits, and then when we get them, you can sell all of them, and you can get gold. Ooh. And so everyone did it. And literally everyone did it, apart from a few who were smart enough to keep their tanks. Because now look what Wargaming did. They freaking implemented what? The double freaking charge system. And so now when you go into the portal to restore your tanks, what's going to happen? They're going to charge you double, even though you sold the tanks years ago. Until you obviously raise a ticket to them and you tell them, hey guys, this is freaking ridiculous. I want to restore my tanks for the price I sold them for. I want to restore the collector tank that I sold as a premium tank and I got credits for. I didn't get gold. So why are you charging me double the amount of gold for something I didn't even sell for gold? I sold for credits. It's crazy. Anyway, that is Update 5.5. I know there's no gameplay or anything, but it's literally a story. And it's me ranting about the fact we have no more low tier tanks. Unless you had them, you had the opportunity to keep these tanks. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell me in the comments down below what you miss most about Update 5.5 and whether you would like Wargaming to reverse what they did with Update 5.5, or at least give us the opportunity to buy back these tanks or win these tanks in various different things. I know in the battle passes you can win them, but you have to pay for it. Stupid. Anyway, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Love you all. Look after yourselves. Look after your friends and family. Peace in the Middle East. And, of course, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.